In today's coaching conversation, I want to talk about accessing the creative space. We hear a lot about, going into that manifesting and dreaming and creating, but I think what is missing from a lot of instruction and a lot of videos and a lot of conversations is you have to do things in order, okay? The first thing that must be done for you to access the creative space and to be able to go into that visualizing and dreaming and playing is you have to get the emotional waters still. So if you look at a vibrational scale, and if you're sitting in anger and frustration and disappointment and sadness and depression, you're sitting down there and you go get in your creative dream chair or dream pod. I suggest you all have one. You should have a designated chair or space in your house that you go and dream every day. First thing in the morning would be super good because that sets your vibe for the whole day and it impacts your behaviors more than you know. But if you're sitting in that sadness and you sit down in that dream chair to do your work, you're not going to be able to access the creative space because you're too low down on the vibrational scale, meaning that fear voice has control over your creations right now. You don't even have the creative power. The creative power is not in your hands to deliberately create until you hold the control over your emotional state. So I'm going to make another video straight after this about an exercise that you can do to get to that point. But you have to get to that point of holding the control over your emotional state, meaning you have to get to a place of calm, of surrender, of letting it go. One thing that you can do, besides the exercise I'm going to share with you, which will tremendously help you stay out of those spaces in general, so that you're not having to, do a bunch of work once you sit down in your chair to create, before you can start creating. You can just go for it because you're already in a calm space. One thing that you can do is, if you're not in a calm space and your fear voice has had control over your emotions all day long or all night or whatever it's been, I want you to sit in your chair, and words that you can say to yourself is, it's over now, it's all done. And as you say that, I want you to feel every muscle in your body just release. Like, oh my God, like a sigh of relief. I'm so glad that's over. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to think about that anymore. That is a release and a letting go. And once you say those words and you relax every muscle in your body and you take that sigh of relief, that's like detaching from the fear voice and its grip it has on you. So you're creating some space between you and it. And then there you are in the creative zone, okay? So you're relaxed, you're calm. Now, if you don't do the exercise I'm going to suggest in the video after this, we'll call it the 2 chairs, the 2 chair exercise. If you haven't been working with the 2 chair exercise, then you'll get to that calm, you'll let go, but then as soon as you do, the mind's after you again. The fear voice is just talking to you again. Yeah, but da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you better think about this, and you better fix this, and it gets you, it's screaming, it's noisy, it's talking about all the details of your surface 3D life, and it's very distracting. So it's very difficult to hold that space of calm, which is the key to accessing the creative space. The key is, remember, you have to be in control of your emotional state. And if that voice is loud and noisy and distracting and bringing up all kinds of pain, you're not in control of your emotional state. It is. It's able to disturb you at any chance it wants to. It still has power over you to disturb you emotionally and distract you, which is why it's important to do the two-chair exercise. But say you've been doing that and you get below the noise and you're able to stay in that relaxed, surrendered state of, oh my God, it's such a relief. Oh, I'm so relaxed. This is such a relief. I don't have to worry about any of that surface 3D world stuff anymore. It's done. It's over with. It's finished. And I'm dropping out of that. I'm dropping off of the surface down into what I call the vertical world. And I'll do another video explaining the horizontal world versus the vertical world. But you're kind of on a vertical line of existence where the creative void exists, and you're moving up and down instead of sideways into past and future. You're just moving up and down, which is eternal. So it never ends, it never begins, it just is. It's just a space that just is, and it's void of time. And it's just space. The horizontal world is all about time and time pressures, and that's where the ego lives. So you're dropping off of that surface horizontal line into the space of void, the vertical space that moves up and down. And you're calm. You've been doing your two-chair exercise as often as you need to during the day. And you're able to, I can hold this calm in my body as long as I need to. I'm really relaxed here. Then that's when you start playing and dreaming and moving up the vibrational scale. So there you are you've got to get to neutral first. And you got to be able to hold neutral. You got to be able to hold it in neutral at your control. Meaning no matter what the fear voice is trying to say and distract and trying to be noisy, it just doesn't faze you, doesn't distract you. So there you are in that neutral zone. And you're holding it in neutral. And you could sit there and hold it in neutral as long as you wanted. But what we want to do, because we're doing this, you can call it a meditation. I don't like to call it that because that sounds like that has difficulty and hard and I can't do it. It has all of that written all over it. So I don't even want to use that word. But we're just sitting in our dream chair, our dream pod. I like to call mine a dream pod. And we're sitting there, holding it in neutral because we've been doing our work. In control of our emotional state. Now we get to climb up the ladder and choose thoughts. Any thought. It does not matter. You are in the limitless zone. There are no limits. There are no time constraints. There are no money constraints. There are no limits on you at all in this vertical creative zone world. Zero limits. There you are. Just back to zero, back to creation. And you can think any thought you want to that puts a smile on your face. Any thought. You can start small. And you start thinking things that, pulling in thoughts that feel exciting, that feel fun, that feel relaxing, that feel whatever way you want to feel in the moment, which is those higher vibe feelings. And at first when you make it to, first you have to regain control. That's step one. That's regaining control is with the two-chair exercise. Step two is holding it in neutral, without being distracted or taken back into the fear, into the horizontal world of the timeline where the ego lives, the surface 3D world. And you're able to hold it there. And then step three is creating. Now you can play and you can hold yourself there. And what I've noticed from holding myself there is that after I am done and I get up out of my dream chair and I've really raised my vibe and I've felt really good, and I also do this at night when I go to bed. When I get up from there, I see that my behaviors are reflecting that me that I just embodied in that creative world. I'm thinking about, how I dress there and how I carry myself there and the things I do there, and simple things like in one of my creative sessions, I saw myself in this, I've been to Bali several times, and they have beautiful little villas and bungalows and right there in the jungle and looking over rice fields. And I saw myself in this beautiful bungalow, and I saw what I was wearing as I got up that morning, which I had that, it's a pajama set. I already had it here in my 3D world, but I was wearing that, which I never wear it because, I just look so slouchy all the time now because I've been in low vibe zone. But I was wearing that, and it was silky, and it looked nice, and, it looked like I cared about myself a little bit. And I got up and I walked through this bungalow, and I walked to my teapot, and first thing in the morning is I made myself a nice hot cup of green tea with ginger and honey. And then I took my tea out onto the deck that overlooked the jungle and by the pool, and I had a dream chair there, and that's where I would go first thing in the morning with my tea and sit and do my dream work, do my creating work. So after I got up from my dream session, I went and I found those pajamas, and I made my bed. I found my pajamas, and the silky ones, and I put them under my pillow for me to wear that night so that I could wake up the next morning and, be in those. And I also got my teapot out, and I made myself some ginger green tea, or green tea with ginger and honey. And I thought, well, I can bring those things that I already have, kind of like an anchor, into my 3D world. So I'm telling you all this because it changes your behavior. You start doing things that you wouldn't normally do, and you start creating and living a life that makes you feel good. I mean, that's a good thing that I did for myself, that green tea, and feeling good in those, like feeling like I cared about, how I looked, and seeing myself in my ultimate, real self. It raised my vibe in the 3D as well, not just during my dream time. So that all trickles out and is able to hold you in that space throughout the day. So you see yourself doing behaviors that mimic what you saw in your dream time. No, I wasn't in Bali. I wasn't in the bungalow for real. But in my mind, I walked around in that state all day, remembering that vision and seeing myself there. So your dream time, especially first thing in the morning, do your dream sessions. We'll call them dream sessions. Well, do them before you get out of bed if you can. Before you open your eyes. Check where you are. Now, if you're not in control, you're not able to hold it in neutral, you're not going to be able to dream because your mind is going to aggravate you and distract you and keep you from it. So that's why, the 2-chair method or exercise is important to be doing during the day. Then the accessing, neutral, being able to get into the creative zone and hold yourself there. That's step 2. And then dreaming, then doing your dream session and creating those emotions on the higher scale, on the high vibrational scale of excitement, of joy, of happiness, of bliss, of whatever it is you want to feel. You can then stimulate and create those feelings inside of you, which raises your vibe all throughout the day. Hope this helps, and I'll be doing another one of these coaching videos on step 1 and step 3.